everyone. Great to be back. Today we have Abhishek from the newer batch, which is EPGP 27. First thing first, welcome Abhishek. Really happy to have you here. Uh, Please introduce yourself, talk about your background, and tell people what you've done.
Yeah. Hey, hi everyone, and thank you so much, Shivam, for inviting me. So it is great interacting with you after a couple of days. We recently met during our onboarding, and super helpful the journey was. So I think it's 25th April, right? So we are just 1 month into the EPGP, exactly 1 month anniversary, I could say it. It's 1 month into the EPGP course. Yeah, so my background is I have close to 8.5 years of experience. I started my experience like post NIT Trichy. I started my experience with Oracle as a techie. So 4.5 years I was with Oracle, building supply chain products. And during COVID, I found an interesting opportunity to move into the product side. So generally, to get into product, people are many people think that an MBA and everything is needed. But then I made that switch during COVID. From Oracle to product management side and more retail. So last 4 years, I was lucky to be part of a small team. Like I was the third guy who joined the more retail team. So I was closely working with the CTPO and the CEO. So we built our tech and product team from scratch in 2021. And I think last 4 years gave me really good experience about how to build products and how to take the products to the market as a product manager. So majorly, I was
Yeah.
developing the retail products, and now the team is close to 45 members strong. So have led that team and created a good impact. So yeah, that's a brief about my work ex and
Oh, amazing. So, I mean, like you said, a lot of people come to an MBA, especially like tech folks, they come for an MBA to switch to product management or like consulting, tech consulting, etc. Would love to know what was your thought process getting into an MBA.
yes. So after getting into product, right, I'll give one or two insights so that it actually makes sense. So for example, when we were taking big calls, like when our CEO, just a brief background, More Retail was basically acquired from Aditya Birla, Samara Capital is the private equity fund and Amazon. So the collaboration is Samara has 51% stake, Amazon has 49% stake. So when this collaboration happened, the bigger calls which were being taken. Like, for example, we have to build our own ERP system
Yeah,
coming out of the SAP system. Like the SAP legacy system was running in the company, coming out of that SAP system. Or let's say we want to focus on supermarkets. Let's not focus on hypermarkets like DMart. So when these strategic calls were made, as an execution, as a product manager, I was executing those ideas. But then I was not exactly getting the vision why or how those calls are made, or the long-term vision of where the company should be in next 5 years. So that
yeah,
is when I moved into the senior product role, right? I really felt that there is something missing. And the best part is my manager, who is the CTPO of the company, he is an IIM Bangalore grad, Ankit Goel. So that way, IIM Bangalore was the natural fit. I didn't have to worry about the recommendations and other things which people are scared of. So
oh, nice, very
that was
interesting.
the natural push, I would say. Like in our one-on-one conversations during my reviews, the feedback was constant that I'm very good with tech skills. I'm very good with getting things done. And if you want to take that next jump right in your career, and if you want to move to the towards that CXO position and have that strategic thinking built into your core, and just come out of your comfort zone and get into this kind of curriculum, then you're sorted for next 15, 20 years of your career. So I think that way the focus was more towards getting a holistic program, not do some weekend course. And that way, with my 8.5 years of experience, right, EPGP was the right fit, and IIM Bangalore was the right choice.
Very interesting, very interesting. Uh, you actually brought up a very interesting point. I'm sure with your experience and like tech background, you were already making like good money, right? In terms of like probably around mean median of post MBA also, right? So what motivated you? Because a lot of people think MBA is like a financial jump, right? So what was that motivation for you to come and rather spend more money and do MBA?
Yes. So, to be honest, Shivam, yeah, people generally compare. monetary benefits right out of MBA, but then
Yeah.
not many people think of the long-term impact. And after having in-depth conversations with my manager, right, and he being from IIM Bangalore, I kind of knew that long-term impact is something which I'm looking at. And you are
Yeah.
right, like I'm already in that median or above median range. So
Yeah.
immediate ROI, I'm not very sure, to be frank. But then one thing I'm very confident about is long term, there will be definitely gains. And the kind of cohort we have, right? The learning is from the cohort. It is within the classroom and outside the classroom. Like just to give you one or two examples, like just 1 month has pushed me so much, which last maybe 1 or 2 years didn't do. So the last 1 year, like I'll not talk about the like we'll come to the curriculars and the other aspects in a bit. But maybe since you brought this point, key, how did I take a call? Like recently in the classes, like for example, the decision sciences classes which we have, it is actually making us think. So, for example, we just think about like the flight overbooking issue. We just think that okay, some few things are unethical, few things are we don't know. Like from a business side, we actually don't understand. But now, right now, when sitting with Professor like Shankar's class and then trying to understand that problem from the root, right, it is making me think a lot. And when I went to the decision science presentation, the dashboard which I came up with, that I would not have done when sitting in my cubicle. So this 1 month itself has made me more innovative. It is actually making me think each day. So I think that is the driving factor.
Very true. Very true. I think this is like a very right example of how you should think about an MBA. And I will be honest to the viewers as well, right? After placement, like after you complete your MBA, it's not that you will get a ROI jump immediately. It's not necessary. You could be at the median. Some people have even taken pay cuts, right, in our batch. Uh, but definitely, it's the long-term impact. You wouldn't have gotten into a senior manager role or like a senior consultant or manager role uh, just by the natural or organic transition in your career. I think the MBA from especially from an IIM Bangalore really kind of fortifies your credibility in the market. So you're absolutely right. Money will come. Uh, I think money should be the secondary. Primary should be, like you said, like innovative thinking, out of the box thinking, how to push yourself and how to push your boundaries.
Yeah, I think yeah. So one is the learning part, and then you are even able, getting to learn the strategy, and you're getting to see how things are being done, right? And
Yeah,
then along the process, you are building that network. So just
yeah,
being like in my 8.5 years of careers, I knew people who are Oracle centric in initial 4 years, and then I knew people who are let's say in and around more like the companies
yeah,
which more operates in. So especially in the supply chain retail domain. And then there are few folks from NIT Trichy, like from my
yeah,
bachelor's time, with whom I'm connected. But then those folks are in like in all the sector, let's say manufacturing, oil and energy, like they're in across all the sectors. But then I know them only as friends from college. I don't know actually the big guys or the people who are leading those sector. So now being part of such a cohort like EPGP, I get access to that network in such a short span of time in 1 year. So I think learning plus the network, these two things I would call the key factors which will be the key for the 1 year.
very interesting. Coming to the fun stuff, I know you've done some interesting things in life. Uh, Talk about them and also speak about how you highlighted them in your application and interview stage. Uh,
Wow.
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So I think most of my interviews, like I got calls from all the top colleges, ABC, and the natural fit was B, so I chose B over other colleges. So especially in A interview, like in especially in I'm B interview, I remember me talking about the Ironman. Like I basically have done Ironman in Zurich. So just before COVID, I had done that. So for folks who don't know what Ironman is basically the world's toughest one-day endurance race. So it is basically 17 hours race. We start off with a swim. So it is generally in ocean or in an open water lake. So in my case, it was in Lake Zurich, Switzerland. So you swim for 4 kilometers on the go. You have a cutoff of 2 hours for that. and then you come out of swim, you immediately transition to the bike. It's a 180 kilometers cycling race. So I did the cycling in Switzerland mountains. Like those mountains are crazy when you cannot compare that to any hills which you have in India. Like I basically was training in Goa for the open water, and I was doing multiple rounds of bike hills in Western Ghats. Like I was basically scaling the Western Ghats multiple times to simulate the Zurich
Simulate the.
elevation. And then 180 kilometers of cycling, then followed by a full marathon, 42 kilometers. So you get 17 hours to do that. And yeah, I was lucky enough. Like I think 16 Indians went, and six of us could complete that race. We got the Ironman title, so I was lucky to be part of it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. How did you highlight that in your application interview?
It came so naturally. Like
Yeah.
yeah, it came so naturally when people talk to you, right? When they ask you about your hobbies, or like you don't have to over portray it, I would say. It was one liner in my resume. So when colleges see your profile and when they shortlist you for interviews, it comes naturally because they have done their research. When they are calling you for interview, it's not like they will be going through your profile then and there. So you have to start with your professional background, I would say, and then it just comes in. And yeah, but then the good part is, apart from the physical part, right? What Ironman does is it trains your mind. It's more mind over the matters. Like the way you are training, you're mentally so strong that any obstacle or any hurdles you come along the way, you are mentally prepared कि हाँ ये तो मेरे से हो जाएगा because I've done this in the past. So one
Mm.
good thing about IMB now is, I was off the training for last 2 3 years, but now IMB the sports infrastructure is so good. Like I get to swim like not daily I would say, but at least thrice a week. So
Thrice a week, yeah.
yeah, so thrice a week, run, swim. That like along with the MBA, the triathlon aspect also has started. So lucky to be lucky to have friends who are actually interested in triathlon. So Professor Sapra, I think this year he made swimming mandatory. So in the
Yeah.
initial yeah, the first 2 months of our batch, we have a dedicated swim coach, and then roughly 50% of the batch is turned off. Like people are picking, like they have picked up swimming as a sport full time. So they are learning swimming, and I get to interact with them, teach them whatever I know. So it's fun.
Oh yeah, this is like the best time to pick up anything that you want.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
The camp
and
we have the
top amenities and yeah, go ahead. What are you saying?
yeah. So we have the entire campus for ourselves now. The EPGP guys are here in campus, and the swim is like the pool is 25-meter proper pool, and we are having a blast after the classes.
Yeah. Oh, superb. Lovely. So it's been what, 25 days, almost a month into
Exactly.
your course,
Yeah.
right? What are some things that have really been exciting? And what are some things that you're genuinely learning in class?
Hmm. So I think I'll start off with the initial first week, right? Now, since other colleges have started, I don't want to name the colleges, but then when I'm speaking to friends from other colleges, they are the kind of first 1 week which we had, the Aurora event which we had, that was super, super fun. Like I know the 74 people's name right up front. Like in that 3 4 days of event, just 1 second.
Yeah,
Sorry, my phone.
no problem.
Yeah. So basically, the Aurora event set the batch in the right tone. First 3 days of college, we got a glimpse of how the entire journey would be like. Like to be frank, I'm a morning person. I generally don't stretch that much. Like 11:30, my mind goes off. I hit my bed, and I'm a morning person. Like 5:30, I'm up. Whatever be the day, even on Sundays. So the 3 days of Aurora actually got me thinking that, man, how will I survive this? Because it was so hectic. There was so much of fun. Like we were given activities, let's say night 10 o'clock. I think you were there the entire time, you and the entire Aurora organizing committee. So that was an icebreaker for us. We all of us by the end of 3 4 days, when we came back from our outbound activity from Value Lanes, all of us knew everyone by name. Man, so awesome. Like by the time the classes started, we knew what that person is, what his background is, not just his name. So that's how the journey has started. And then moving into classes, I would like to highlight maybe one or two instances where I was actually mind blown. So one thing is, especially during the EM classes, Professor Srivardhani, the way she is making us do the group activity, especially the equities game. That was so much fun. Like you get to understand from an investor side, you get to understand from a founder lens, that too in just the 1 month. So
Yeah.
that was one key learning, I would say, and especially the strategy classes. I'm having really fun in understanding what kind of calls those big companies took and why they have failed or why they have succeeded.
Yeah.
So in more retail, I was seeing that from an retail aspect, but now I get to explore all the industries. So I think these
Mm.
have been two very key highlights in the last 1 month.
Very cool. Very cool. Actually, one thing that like a lot of your batchmates also keep calling me about, which I wanted to highlight, is that IIM Bangalore uh, has a very heavy focus on the case method. Okay. Uh, our cases are drawn from Harvard. A lot of our internal professors also write Wharton, etc., etc., right? Talk a little bit about that. What do you think, and like, do you think you've gotten the hang of the case method?
To be frank, not yet. So yeah, especially whenever we have a like strategy class in the morning, the previous night is like it's a night out till 2, 3. First, you do one round of prep on your own, and then you form smaller groups, you discuss, and then the next day the professor takes the case to a different level. Like whatever preparation you have done, let's say for Cola Wars, the initial case, or to the Spotify case, the next day when the IKEA case starts, it goes to the next level. So
Yeah,
it's tough. Yeah, it is tough to keep pace with what things are happening. But yeah, I think we are managing to, we are coping up. Yeah.
superb, superb. So, what was kind of going on in your head when you entered the campus? Uh, would love to understand that as well.
Yeah. So I think when I entered the campus, obviously IMB, you closely resonate with the Three Idiots movie, right? So
Yeah,
when I entered, me and my wife both she had basically come to see me off. So we were trying to find out locations ki kaun sa movie kahan pe like which scene was shot where. And then when during that during the campus tour we got to see all those places. So that was the initial thought going on. And then like last 3 years I've done mostly work from home. I was working from Bhubaneswar, and then I was traveling for work to Mumbai and Bangalore. So kind of I was bit nostalgic, I would say. He come like leaving your family behind and then coming
yeah,
here. So and especially for us, right? Like if you are just if you are not married, and if you are just you are staying with your friends, let's say for work, and you are moving to camp hostel life, it is different. But for someone who's married, who's close to family, like I was living with my parents, with my wife. So I was actually little not like I was little sad or little worried ki how will things plan out. But then getting amazing set of friends over here is has taken care of everything. And the
nice.
campus life is very fast paced, I would say, Shivam. So I slowly my body clock, like my it's basically slowly adjusting. At times
Yeah,
I'm stretching late night and then trying to cover up the sleep. So yeah.
yeah, yeah. No, I think it pushes you physically and mentally both. And for
Yes.
that, you do have to stay up late a few days. But eventually, it becomes a muscle memory, and in a very healthy way.
Yes.
So eventually, even if you sleep late, you will ensure that you are kind of carry forwarding that sleep somewhere, and you'll get your work done. Anyway, now coming back to like the batch, I've heard this a lot. Would like to hear this from you. IIM Bangalore is seen as like the tech hub and the consulting hub, so to say. What are your thoughts on it, based on the homework that you've done over the years and with your current batch?
Hmm. So I think 50% of the batch will definitely consulting focused, I would say. So we are consulting heavy and quants have heavy. I would put it
Yeah,
that way. Not per se. The batch is like I think around there are 12 guys, like roughly 20% of the batch who are interested in tech and product roles, and 50%
yeah,
of the batch is mostly into consulting. And the guys who are in tech and product also, right? Like how should I put it? Yeah. So for example, the guys know so many, like for example, in my work, I was not using notebook LLM. Like I was mostly using Gemini or the Chat GPT. Like as a product manager, you mostly get to work on the PRDs for which Gemini is cool enough. But now coming here, notebook LLM has been one thing which we are using for most of our courses, just to ensure that the AI is not hallucinating. And then one more good thing is, especially from the learning which came in the last 1 month, people are picking up coding skills. Like even though you don't need to learn coding, the way Professor Shankar showed it in class, right? Uh, Using prompt, you can get Python do your work. So people have actually started playing with prompt so much, and then using like Google Colab, they are mostly trying to get their projects done using Python. So for guys who have not touched Python per se, what is instilled in their mind is English is the new language. So you don't have to worry about Python or C++ or Java. If you are good with English and you are good with prompts, you're sorted. Like you can at least do really good with the Gen AI, I think, kicking up, and you can really excel in your tech and product roles.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
yeah, our batch is that way. I feel very, very competitive, very sharp. There are guys who are really good with quants. So yeah, very insightful insights I get to derive from them.
Fun fact for you, you know, the last lecture we had with Professor Shankar, uh, he actually mentioned it to us that for the next batch, I am going to integrate a lot of AI tools for their benefit. And that is like top notch, right? Because you realize that during our time there was a lot of buzz about AI, but we didn't know how to use AI a lot. Of course, we did use all of the notebook LLMs of the world, but I think the professors are going to take it, to the next level year by year and try to integrate it with the education. So I'm glad to see that, that is happening, and I'm sure it is going to benefit you guys a lot.
Yes, yes. So you must remember Lisa, right? The uh,
Lisa, yeah, 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 yeah.
so Lisa has moved to the next level. Basically, it's a live Lisa in the class. I would put it
Nice.
that way. Yeah. So it's
Yeah,
fun.
Professor Shankar is amazing, amazing. So one of the biggest strengths of the EPGP cohort is the peer-to-peer interaction. Speak a little bit about that. How is that going for you? And like, what have you learned so far?
Mhm. So I agree. So peer-to-peer interaction is very important, especially for guys like we are coming from various backgrounds, right? For example, me as a techie, I was finding initially the FRA and the economics topics to be challenging, especially the FRA. But then because of that amazing cohort which we have, the guy next door, like Madhu, my friend, he is taking care of the FRA part. Like there are like in batches, there are guys who are taking care of the entire subject themselves. Like after the class or whenever there is an assignment or the way the groups are divided, right? Especially in core one, like in our first term, we are divided into like different groups. It's not like you're stuck to that one group. So you get to learn from the entire cohort. For example, economics, we have my friend John T. He's taking care of the that subject whole. Like whenever there's a quiz, whenever there's an assignment, he's the one who's taking care of the entire batch. So people are not just carrying their knowledge to themselves. Everyone is so open of sharing that knowledge with everyone, right? So I think that is the biggest learning from our batch, I would say, where we are collaborating a lot for individual projects at a project level and as a cohort whenever we have quizzes or assignments or things come, like we have midterm coming up in 2 weeks time. So that is where again the thing will come up. Yeah, but uh, overall your entire MBA experience is like 30-40% is definitely shaped by the cohort you get into. And I have made like in last 1 month, I've made really amazing friends who are taking care of the entire journey.
I mean, it's too early, but if you have some instance where you've had some conversation and that has really changed your perspective about things.
Mm, Perspective about things you are saying, right? Maybe I have to
It could
think
be
it.
it could be anything. Okay, cool, no problem. You can probably think about it and we can let me know. So what is that one skill that you realize that you have to improve very fast? as soon as you joined?
Hmm. Um, I think I think it is reading pretty fast. Like
Mm,
I'm not a voracious reader, I would say. I read bit, but I'm not a very voracious reader. And then the number of cases we are bombarded with, right? So other things
yeah,
I can manage, like the quants part or the other things, the presentation skills. Like I have really good presentation skills. So there I might not be struggling. Other people might be struggling there, especially with presentation or with making dashboards or other things. But then I think for me it'll be buckling up on reading speed and getting that dense information um, some like understanding that in a quick matter. Like you don't have to read it twice to understand a case well.
yeah, that's true. That's true. All right. So just
AI
to
helps,
give,
I would say, like to
hmm,
summarize things, AI helps, but then
yeah,
offloading everything to AI to summarize is also not the right thing. So to a certain extent, when you're running out of time or when there is no other alternative, you put it to AI, get the summary. But then I try maximum to at least go through the case once so that your neural net, like your brain neurons are firing and you are trying to understand it rather than delegating
absolutely,
everything to AI. Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. Reading is a very important skill, and reading and comprehending is an even more understand important skill.
Yeah.
Uh,
That is where, yeah, I think
Retain,
my,
yeah, because it's more about reading between the lines, not missing data, not missing perspectives from a lot of point of view. Anyway, just to give like viewers some context, speak about like how one term looks like, how the next term looks like. What does the calendar essentially look like? Because I know you are going through midterms very soon. So just to give viewers some perspective on how fast things are, uh, would love to hear from you on that.
got it. So EPGP is basically divided into five terms. So we have first term one, term two, which are the core terms. There we don't have any electives per se. Core terms, everyone, the entire batch goes through all the subjects, and each term has six subjects. So you can imagine we have classes Monday to Friday generally. Saturday, Sundays are off, but then Saturday, Sundays you are completely occupied with the projects and assignments. So classes, term one, the classes now are like mostly 9:30 to 4:35. So you are packed, like each class is 1.5 hour duration. So you'll have to have your peak concentration for that entire 1.5 hour. It cannot be like you are just not prepared for it. So term one, six subjects and everything is scored. Like it's not like one, for example, someone for someone who is not in, who has not done accounting, that will be a very challenging subject. But then the way professor is teaching that subject, it becomes very easy. Like you at least understand the flow, you understand your core concepts, the fundamentals, and that's how the subject is basically designed. And then after term two, like term one is roughly 10 weeks, I would say. Term one, term two, 10 weeks, 2.5 months. So your 5 months are done with term one, term two. And then you have term three, which is our international immersion program. So we get to travel for 2 weeks to Europe, two colleges in Europe. And once you're coming back from term that we call it as term three, the international immersion program, and then term four, term five. So term four is again a heavy term. That's what my seniors have said me. So the placements and everything happens in term four, and then the term five is the chill out term where you get to choose your own electives and you have fun towards the end.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. That is precisely how the entire year is. And in between of all of this, you will have like quizzes, midterm, end term. Uh, it's a power-packed schedule. The first three terms, though, definitely you don't have time. Term four, like you said, placements take most of your time. And term five, I think you get used to everything. That is why it's easy. But actually, for like, if you put a normal person in term five, he or she will not be able to cope up.
true, man.
Wonderful, wonderful. So, what are like something that are really striking to you at IIM Bangalore? Some things maybe like you perhaps imagined कि ऐसा होगा, and it has been even better than that.
Hmm. I think last weekend my friends in Bangalore, they came to the campus and they were actually more blowed by the room we have. So the
Yeah,
hostel room is amazing. And folks, glad like I want to share that I got into the room which Shivam was staying. So I want to keep up to that legacy of room 323.
yeah,
So it's basically we basically pit chits and get the rooms allotted. So I remember that day you were calling out who's 3 to 3, and then yeah. So the guys were like, if they want to come to a hotel, they may come to Bangalore and stay in my room. So
Yeah.
yeah, and yeah, I think few things like especially the curriculum, the way it is designed, right? I didn't think that it'll be this interactive and it'll be this beautiful. Like as an outsider, you think that okay, I'll manage, ye rahega, I'll just manage. But then once you are inside, you actually get to experience that. And at few classes, I'm actually asking myself like, oh man, I didn't even think in this way. So yeah, it's there will be few boring classes. I don't want to name the subjects, but then yeah, there will be few places where you'll be really amazed.
Yeah. So boring classes are mainly like they don't align with you. Like
Yeah, might
what is interesting for you might not be interesting for someone else.
yes, exactly.
So like finance, I never understood, right? But next term you will have corporate finance. That was a very, very interesting subject for me because it gave a very 360 perspective on finance. Very cool, very cool. So now coming back to like applicants, like I know a lot of future applicants watch this video. What would you like to tell them about, I think, first 1 year courses, and then next, they will have a choice like you did between A, B, C, ISB, even international colleges, right? Uh, Speak to them and talk about uh, the decision making parameters that you should have, and even talk about like EPGP specifically, uh, what you have learned from your peers and yourself now. Why do you think like this is like an amazing course for them?
Got it. So I think first things first, I think GMAT people should get done with all the aspirants, right? If you are looking to join the next year batch, so we are already in end of April, and next 3 4 months, max by June, July, I think it's the right time to get done with your GMAT. And trust me, guys, like the GMAT score is improving each year by year. Like with GMAT focus coming in, the 645, which was the 645 in the GMAT Focus edition, which corresponds to the 700 in the previous edition, that score is improving. So our current GMAT average is almost 655 this year. Again, it will keep improving. So I'm not saying that all colleges are, at least you need to have that interview invite, right? So try to at least get in the average score of what college you are targeting. So that would be ideal first things first. And then once your GMAT is sorted, focus, try to understand, try to connect with the peers who are going through the program now via LinkedIn or via other platforms, and try to understand more about what the program offers. For example, for
Yeah,
EPGP, if explicitly say EPGP, we have guys from like roughly 10% batch from automobile engineering, like automobile sector. Then roughly 15 20% batch from oil and gas. And then there are people from army, like there are like 3 4 guys from army. And then the cohort is so beautifully designed. Like you have people from various backgrounds, and the average experience is also like 7 to 8 years. The bare minimum is 5, but then the batch cohort experience is around 8. So someone like having 8 to 9 years experience, I think you will have to take a call between like, don't you have to basically consider few parameters. One is the kind of cohort you want to join. So for example, ISB has a younger cohort. So someone who has a lesser experience might feel that is the right fit for them. So similarly, try connecting with more people from that batch or from that college we are targeting, and try to understand the course a bit so that your future goals are aligned to what the program offers.
true. Very true,
So
very true.
yeah,
And
and
yeah, I think we've covered everything. Anything else you want to add?
yeah, and I think Bangalore has one key advantage over others. What I feel is the location factor. So since we are in the startup ecosystem, like you get to interact with so many people. Like last 1 week, like I'm just walking to the NSRCL. I'm trying to find out what kind of work is going on, and then in parallel, I'm having an idea. I'm trying to see how that can be incubated at the in the site. So taking advantage of those key factors, and then the NSR cell which we have in our college, right? That is a plus point if let's say we are considering EPGP course. I'll not talk much about the 2 year program because the 2 year folks are little separate, like that they come mostly through CAT scores, but major focus is mostly towards the 1 year programs per se. And even not talking
Yeah.
about the abroad colleges because again, the focus is completely different, like talking from an Indian perspective. And Shivam, I
Mm,
would like to add one more point, which I think not many people are knowing. So
sure.
maybe if you failed in multiple times in GMAT, like let's say you have already attempted 3 or 4 times in GMAT, and if things are not working out, what I see now is there are guys who are getting into good courses through GRE courses scores.
Yeah.
So just give a GRE mock test. If GRE works well for you, let's say you have a very good verbal skills and not up to the marks with quant, maybe get
Yeah.
done with GRE. Not
Yeah.
just uh, take 2 years and waste it just not getting a good GMAT score. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like I gave my GRE, and the reason for that was because my verbal skills were far better than quant.
yeah,
Uh, but
you have to
it's not
basically
that
put
GRE
your
is
time.
easy. The quant is definitely much on the easier side, but the verbal is very difficult. So it's
No,
19 bis. But
there is
yeah,
a
you're
notion,
right.
right?
You're absolutely right. Yeah.
Yeah, there is a notion that colleges are biased towards GMAT and don't consider GRE,
Oh
but
no.
that there is no such bias. There are guys in our batch who have joined with very good GRE scores. So always have that like play to your strengths, I would say. So whatever your strengths is, play it according to that, and then things will be taken care.
Very cool. Very cool. No, absolutely. You're absolutely right. Very well put. Uh, yeah, I think we have covered everything. What would you like to tell to the uh, aspirants who are specifically looking at, the EPGP program? How could they, what should they be looking at in their application? And GRE GMAT we've covered, but like application and what should they look forward to in the college?
Hmm. So I think in application, you try to have an holistic application covering all the bases. And for example, don't try to over portray something. Like if you have actually done the work, you at least you try to put that so that in interviews you are like you are genuinely speaking about the work and you are not just bluffing that you have achieved so and so things. So, and IMB interview is really, really chilled out. When you compare it with other colleges, like my experiences with, let's say, IIM Calcutta, that was a stressful interview. But I did well, I got the convert, that is a separate thing. But then just looking at the EPGP interview, right? It's a very chilled interview and they will give you time to speak. You are not bombarded with 3 questions at once. So the panel is that way designed that there are alums from sitting in that panel. There are professors. So that way you are mentally prepared that it's going to be a decent interview, provided you have done your homework well. And for folks who are aspiring to join EPGP, you just search, you follow the EPGP page in LinkedIn. You find out folks who are in EPGP now from our cohort or from the alum. Reach out to anyone. I'm pretty sure the moment you reach out to anyone, EPGP, I think you said that number, right? We are 1200 or what?
Yeah, approximately 12, 1,500 people, 12 to
So there is,
1,500.
yeah, there is hardly like 1,200 guys who are part of this core EPGP group. So reach out to anyone, like anyone reaching out to me on LinkedIn, I definitely respond. So to dig more about the program, they can do that. And if you're in Bangalore, feel free to come down sometime.
Great advice, great advice. I think once people come to the campus, they fall in love with it, and it's just,
So much
I
greenery.
mean, then you don't think twice. Absolutely. No, amazing, Abhishek. Thank you so much. I know it's super hectic for you, but thank you so much for coming and speaking really, really cool stuff. I think we'll end this. Anything else you want to say before we leave?
No, I think we have covered all the points, Shivam. And thanks to
All
you
right.
for, yeah, actually starting this Inside B
Yeah.
pro channel. So it's yeah, I think I got few insights before joining, and we'll take this the amount of content you are putting out there, right? By interacting with so many people. Kudos to you for putting out there.
Superb, superb. Lovely. All right. Thank you. Thank you.